When the $1 million hit your bank account, how did you feel? What was going through your mind?
I would see my grandmother still doing the same thing, right? She's 73 years old, works at Walmart. She's stocking shelves, working overnight shift. And so the first thing was paying my grandmother's mortgage. There's a lie that we've all been told as children. It is time is money. Time is greater than money. They are not equal. All of those things are the reasons why they're not closing deals. Luckily got introduced to Mike Barron, my coach, who you've had on the show. You're having your breakout moment now, which
Damn.
I'm super excited for you.
Thank you.
Subscribe to this guy. This guy is bringing A-list entrepreneurs onto this channel.
Welcome to the A-Listers Show, where we bring on movers and shakers, people doing interesting things. Today, we have an amazing guest. We caught him at an amazing time where he just exited his company for $1 million. So we're going to talk about his journey. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff. I'm going to get right into it. Louis Torres, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me on the show. Super excited.
My question for you, when the $1 million hit your bank account, how did you feel? What was going through your mind?
So it was surreal, man. I'm not gonna lie. So it took a minute. I closed on the deal, and after you sign the paperwork, I still have deliverables, right? So I have to make sure that these things happen so that you can transfer the money.
Yeah.
Then it goes to a lawyer. Then the weekend hit, so I had to wait for the wire on Monday. I'm just sitting there like sweating, like it's not. Like, I know I'm making the money, but it's not a reality yet. But when it hit, man, it was weird. It was weird, but at the same time, like, it's just, you're not holding it. It's kind of like in the bank. It's just a number on a screen.
Yeah.
And it was a little surreal. But, yeah, man, it was just same old shit. It's just a number on a screen. Yeah. I think when I started to actually make some money, you get so caught up in, like, it just becomes your day-to-day, just like Mike says at the event. It's just a number.
Yeah. What was one of the first things you do? Did you already have it all planned out, or were you like, okay, now it's a reality, got to figure shit out?
No, so I literally had like notes in my phone, and I had everything planned out where I was doing with the money. Because here's the thing. If you have cash in your bank account, what does it do for you?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Like, you can't sleep with the money. You can't date it. Like, what the fuck are you going to do with it, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people think, like, oh, you're a millionaire. It's like, no, that money's gone already. Mm-hmm. It's reinvested into other things so that I could become uncomfortable again. And here I am. Like, I just sold the business, made my money, back on the grind. So what did I do with the money? It's probably your next question.
Yes. What did you do with the money? You want to take my seat?
Grandma, that was my first thing. That was my why. My grandmother helped raise me as a young child. My mother had me when she was 18 years old. She was being an 18-year-old, right? So I moved in with my grandmother, single mom. It was a Latino family. So it was great-grandma, grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, like 8 people living in a 3-bedroom house.
Wow.
And there's a lot of love, right? Didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of love. And, my grandmother, I just remember being young, her dropping me off at school, bringing me to the bus stop, like picking me up. My mom was working long hours in the city, just trying to make it on her own. So I always felt indebted to my grandparents for teaching me so much and just giving me so much love. And so the first thing was paying my grandmother's mortgage. Like, I couldn't actually pay off the whole mortgage in the beginning. I paid off the first month because I was buying a house and I couldn't touch my money. So after I bought the house, then I paid it off. But mortgage payment for my grandma, bought a house. What else did we do? I think we got some pretty nice seats to a Hornets game for a good date night. But yeah, so I had everything listed out.
Yeah.
Had my next mentorship ready to go with Dan Fleischman.
Yeah. Had
the money ready. So I already had it all planned out. I'm going to take this money. I'm going to reinvest it. I am going to, I bought a house. That was the thing I did for myself. But like for me, it's just being able to retire my grandmother was the key. And that was the most satisfying moment I've had in my entrepreneurial life. It felt like all the things that I did, all the hustling, all the ups and downs, it finally felt like I did something. Like I've, the game of life never, it's not over yet while we're still here. Like I sold the business, but I felt like I hit that milestone, that first major milestone in my life.
Yeah. Why was it so important to help your grandma? I mean, she helped you out a lot as a kid, but a lot of people had people that helped them out, but why was it so important to you growing up or whatever to help your grandma?
It was when I would come home. So I left New York. I wanted to not be around the people that I was always around. I didn't want to be comfortable, right? And so I left New York. I went to South Carolina, moved to Myrtle Beach, Coastal Carolina. Then I moved to Miami, Charlotte, North Carolina. I lived in New York City. I constantly like to stay away from my family. I like to put myself in situations where I can focus and I can do my own thing. But then whenever I'd come home, I would see my grandmother still doing the same thing. Like she works at Walmart. She's stocking shelves, working overnight shift, right? She's 73 years old. That's crazy. There's no conversations of her retiring. And, my grandfather was getting older. And, one of the things that I wanted to do, because I came home and because I saw that every single time and because I saw her back pain and starting to go through some things and she couldn't take off work, that kind of it hurt my feelings that she had to live that life. Like, I feel like if our parents take care of us, our grandparents, we should be taking care of them when they get to that age. I don't know if it's a Latino thing. I don't know if it's a culture thing, but it's just a feeling that I had, like I needed to be responsible for it. And once I started to learn that high-level data and I learned my superpower of entrepreneurship and I got out of the matrix, I felt like I was obligated to help her, right? If I make this money, what good is it to make all this money if I can't help the people that I love? So I can't pinpoint why, but I think it was a combination of those things.
Mm-hmm. How did she react when you told her?
Big old hug, a couple tears. That was a surreal moment.
Yeah.
I've never been hugged that hard. I never felt that kind of love from somebody in that moment. And she was so grateful. Like, just, she couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. Like, she could finally breathe. So we came over here, we were doing cash businesses, flea markets, flips, stuff like that. That's what my family did. They go to New York City, they go to Chinatown, they buy merchandise, they go upstate and flip it at flea markets. My grandmother had her own little store in the mall, and everything was cash. So because everything was cash and she couldn't show income, she was always renting her whole life, her and my grandfather. And they wanted to buy a house, and they didn't buy a house until she was in her 50s. So she just saw a lot of mortgage, a lot of payments left on that mortgage. And, I just felt like she wasn't getting any younger. When my grandfather died during COVID, that lit a fire under my ass. That's when I started working with Mike, and I was like, Mike, I don't have time. We got to do this. I cannot let my grandmother, be at Walmart working 40 hours a week until she dies. Like, that's crazy. That's fucked up, And there's a little fire under my ass for sure when my grandfather passed.
When I go to Walmart, I see a lot of people's grandmas working. When I go to the Dollar Tree and I see, a 70-year-old lady, I'm like, damn, like that's somebody's mother, that's somebody's grandma making, right. $14 an hour, and that breaks my heart in a way. And that's someone's grandma. So did you always believe it was possible for you to accomplish what you did? Or did you have serious doubts and then something kind of changed your mind? Or was this always an internal belief or conviction that you were going to be able to accomplish something like this?
So I did have the conviction early on with a lot of personal development. The more that I read, the more I was feeding my brain, the more positive thoughts I had, the more my skill sets grew, the more I could apply things to life. So self-development was really the key. And then as far as getting into the journey, now it's like, what's the opportunity vehicle? How can I get there? I have the information. I know what I'm capable of. But I think when I started to get the confidence was when I got in the right opportunity vehicle, because I had tried a lot of different businesses. Did I know I was going to be successful? I did, because I told myself it takes 9 out of 10 small businesses fail. So the average person says that's too risky. Like, I have a 10% chance of being successful. For me, I'm thinking, oh, I only have to have 10 businesses for one of them to work. Okay, let's go fail 9 times. I can't wait to fail. So I think it was that optimistic attitude that I had. And the more I read, the more I learned, the more I studied people, the more opportunistic I became, because I felt like I was learning the things that would help me get that one business that would make it.
Yeah. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to hear a little bit about your story. And one thing that stood out to me was that you were waiting tables. Mm-hmm. And so many times you told yourself that this was going to be the last time that you wait tables. And then finally you showed a picture of the last time you actually did wait tables. Mm-hmm. I thought that was cool. I resonated with that because I have what I call a graveyard of failures, of failed businesses, like one after the other after the other. If you pull up like my Facebook pages, you see like 20 different Facebook pages that I started from businesses, or 20 different funnels that I had built. None of them had worked. Each one of them contributed to exactly who I am today, which is going to contribute to my ultimate success. So I'm okay with that. But let's transition into your story. What did you do to sell this? What did you sell for? Tell us about your business. What business did you exit?
Yeah, so we'll talk about the business. I just want to say, before we move forward, that's what it takes. Every single time you fail, dude, I have the same thing. I've got pages on pages on pages. And it's funny, I look back at them and I'm like, oh my gosh, who was I back then, right? So every business that you don't move forward with, you learn something from it,
Absolutely.
Right? Every time you learn, that's another skill. That's another thing that you don't have to go back and relearn, right? Mm-hmm. And you just take all these skills, you build them up, and eventually you have that breakthrough. So I just want to let you know, man, that you're not alone. Every single entrepreneur goes through that. Yeah. And I know like you're having your breakout moment now, which I'm super excited for you.
Thank you.
But that's part of the journey. That's necessary in order to get there, especially if you don't come from money. If you don't come from wealth, you have to figure it out. So yeah, man, keep doing those, keep adding to that graveyard, and eventually you're going to come out from it.
And I'll say real quick that, I say graveyard of failures because that's how people can understand it.
Yeah.
But the truth is I don't see them as failures.
Right.
I don't. I see them as businesses that I started that I've transitioned, because at the end of the day, my goal never changed.
Yes.
Right. My goal is to, have a business and a vehicle that I can grow to infinity. Mm. And so all of those along the way were just times that I had pivoted.
Right.
And as long as you don't actually quit, and I may have quit a business, but I never quit my actual goal, which is to create this ultimate vehicle that's going to take me where I want to go. So if I look at it like that, I never quit. It's just I keep pivoting because I learned some new information, and I'm on the same path. So I say graveyard of failures because it may help people relate, but the truth is they're not failures, and I don't see them as that.
No, you're right. As long as you don't quit, you're not failing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the only time you ever really can lose is when you give up completely on your ultimate goal. And that's what people need to understand, that the goal isn't necessarily your particular business that you're working on. Your goal is your indefinite purpose. Because if you're on that path and you continue to push towards that, if you make a little step towards it each day, it's a mathematical certainty that you'll eventually reach that goal. Now, the problem is sometimes it may, if you're taking too small of steps, it may take 300 years to get there, and we don't have 300 years in this life.
Right.
That's why you need to remember that you're going to die. Mm. Your time will be cut short. All the balls that you had in the air will fall, and then all turn to dust. And think about your death, because you only have a limited amount of time in this life. And that's what's been pushing me lately is, we're getting older. We're all going to turn to dust.
Right.
And so that's why I'm okay with investing in things that are going to shorten my learning curve?
Right.
Because time is the most valuable asset. And how can I accelerate what I'm working on to get me to where I want to be before I'm an old bastard?
Exactly, man. There's a lie that we've all been told as children if you did not come from money. It is time is money. It's the biggest lie.
Tell me about that.
The reason why it's the biggest lie is we're thinking, oh, time is money, I got to go. I got to, finish this project, time is money. The reason why it is the biggest lie is because of what you just said. So you can use money as a tool to leverage information to buy back your time.
Yes.
You can't do it inversely. You can't get your time back. Yesterday is gone. It'll never happen again. You'll never have a March 23rd, 2024 ever again. But if I blow this $1 million, I can go make $1 million next month. I can go make $1 million next week. It don't matter. It's just a number. So I think because people look at time that way, what they do is they give up their time for money versus figuring out how to leverage that money to get more time back in your life to spend with your loved ones and do the things that you want to do and do the purpose that you're put on this planet for. So it's a mental shift. It's a mind fuck.
Yeah. You can almost buy time in that way.
You can, 100%.
So if something would have normally taken me 3 years to accomplish, but now I can go acquire the information to cut down that learning phase down to 1 year, then I've bought myself 2 years of time with cash.
100%. So back to your original question, the business.
Yeah, tell me about your business.
So March 2020.
4 years ago this month.
4 years ago this month, I have my marketing agency. It's called Kingsley Media, and I have chiropractor clients, got about 10 of them, an orthodontist, a hair salon, an accountant. And I'm stuck at the 6-figure mark since 2017, right? So 2-3 years now. And every year I'm like, okay, this is the goal. I'm going to 10X, I'm going to get to $1 million. I didn't have the plan to do it. I was like, if I do more leads, I get more sales, I'll make more money. But every time a fire would happen, I'd have to go into fulfillment, put out the fire. And I was just stuck. I was stuck in this limbo. So in 2020, I was like, I had enough. I got to figure out how to leverage somebody else's information, someone that's already did it, and I have to pay for it. And 2020 happens. I rebrand my business. The reason I rebranded is because I had a life-changing moment personally. My fiance and I, she has this crazy little chihuahua. His name's Alfie. He's a little aggressive, fearful, 10-pound little shit. Like, he would bark at you, growl at you, bite you. You couldn't get close to Michelle. Like, it was chaos. Couldn't take him out for walks. Small dog syndrome. He would, it didn't matter if there was a Rottweiler coming at us. He's going to let him know not to mess with us. And we became the neighbors that everybody wanted to avoid. It was embarrassing. And I told Michelle, I was like, hey, we got to get rid of this dog. Like, you got to send the dog back up to your mom, back to live in New York, because this is not, like, at this point, it's me or the dog. It was bad. And we got professional training. And I had no idea that professional dog training was a thing at this level, right? So we call a few people. He's 10 years old at this time, the dog. So a couple trainers say, oh, he's too old, can't teach him, which is a lie. And then finally have one guy that comes out, does the evaluation, completely blows our mind. He's like, okay, guys, if you want to move forward, it's a free evaluation. Because if you want to move forward, it's going to be $2,000. We looked at each other like, what? $2,000 to train our dog? We had no money. I was waiting tables. I just closed up one of my businesses, pivoted one of my businesses. Yes. And I was waiting tables, and we had to wait for Michelle's tax return to come back. As a server, you don't make any money. It goes all to your tips. So we waited for her tax return, and then we got training. Changed our life. 6 weeks, completely different dog. I was mind blown. Every time I would go home, I started helping my friends, my family with their dogs, with all the things that I learned. That's when I realized everybody has a challenge with their dog. Like, everybody's dog has some sort of behavior that drives them nuts, whether it's barking at people when they walk in the house, whether it's jumping on the countertop and trying to steal food. Like, everybody has some kind of issue with their dog. And that's when I realized that there was a market. I reached out to the trainer that helped us. And I said, hey, man, I have this marketing agency. This is what I do. I'd love to help you. He says, "Hey, Louis, I appreciate that, but I only rely on word of mouth. That's what I do. I'm booked up. I'm busy." The irony is I am now in his space. The facility went under during COVID because he relied on word of mouth, and he moved out of the space, and now I'm in there.
Wow.
Just goes to show you the power of lead gen and always marketing and always having, advertising out there to have a steady stream of leads. So I ended up finding someone else in the area. It was like 2 years later after this point. I was still doing my chiro thing. I was like, okay, didn't get the opportunity. It's all good. I have clients. I'm moving out with my life. I moved into a new apartment complex, and they had this called a meet and greet, where a training company came out, and they were meeting with people in the community. They wined and dined them. They had finger sandwiches and wine, and it was a 2-hour time block. Come up, ask questions about dog training. So at this point, my dog's trained. I just wanted to go up and check him out. And at the end of it, I went up to the owner at the time. I said, "Hey, how many leads did you get from this?" He's like, "I think 1 or 2. I said, "Dude, you spent this money, this time, you came out here, you got 1 or 2 leads?" I said, "Give me that same budget, and in 30 days, I'm going to, get you X amount of leads." After the first 30 days, not only did he get the leads, they did $10,000 in collections and revenue for dog training in 30 days from my Facebook ads funnel. Wow. And I was like, holy shit, I just found something. So it went from solving a problem, seeing an opportunity, finding out it was a blue ocean, and I quickly started researching coaches. Okay, I've got all the things. Now I need someone to pour gas on this fire that I'm about to start. I got a little flame going here. It's like Survivor when they're building their little fires. Yeah. And now I got to pour some gasoline on this. And then I luckily got introduced to Mike Barron, my coach, who you've had on the show. Yeah. And I switched over to Go High Level CRM. That happened. I rebranded. I signed a contract for coaching for a lot of money. My fiance was like, "What the hell are you doing?" It's like, whoa, it's college tuition. Yeah. My parents were like, "Are you an idiot?" And then what happened in March 2020?
COVID hit.
The world shut down.
So hang on, back up. So you signed up for this large coaching in March?
Yep.
And that same month, COVID hit, everything
literally
shut down.
A week later. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to pay this guy? My clients that were funding my business at the time, the chiropractors, the dentists, they're shutting their doors down. They're like, "Louis, we can't market." Clients that have been with me for years, retainer every single month, consistent income, are now like, "Dude, we got to pause marketing for the first time." So now I have no income. So my back's against the wall. And you know what happens when your back gets against the wall?
You fight or you die.
You fight or you die. And it was like a perfect storm. So my grandfather passed a month later. That really ignited my flame. I had all these pieces that aligned: the new niche, the CRM, the new coach. And I put everything together, and that was it, man. My life changed. I did, to finish that year out, I did about 500,000. And then 18 months from working with Mike, I did $1 million.
In 1 year or total time?
In 18 months, okay. From the first day that we started. And I asked him, I said, "Mike, do you think it's realistic for me to make $1 million in a year working with you?" He said, "Dude, when we're done, you won't even be thinking about $1 million. You'll be thinking about $10 million. And, we talk about setting big goals. If I would have told myself I'd make $2 million in a year, I probably would have made the $1 million in the 12 months, because you usually fall short of your goal, right? I fell a little short. It was 18 months instead of the 12. So set bigger goals, and you'll be surprised on what you can actually accomplish with the right pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah. That's amazing. I want to touch on limiting beliefs for a moment.
Sure.
Because one thing interesting is, now that I'm around people that are crushing it and doing big things, it's helping I have limiting beliefs as to how much I can make because of how many businesses I've had to pivot from.
Right.
And close down. So my limiting beliefs are things like, it's not possible for me to make this amount of money based on my previous experience where I haven't been able to. And also, I can't charge this amount of money because I've never paid that amount of money. Mm-hmm. And so being around people and leveraging coaching has really helped to diminish my limiting beliefs because you're a human being. You know, you're a smart guy, but you know, we probably have similar intelligence. Like, there's nothing you have the same amount of time in the day. You know, you have you know, you didn't start your business with a ton of money. I don't have a ton of money. So if you can do it, why can't I do it? If he can do it, why can't she do it? If she can do it, why can't anybody do it? Like, we're all humans. We all have this access to the same resources. We all have the internet, and we all can learn, and we all have the same amount of time in a day. So if other people are doing these things that I want to do, there's no reason why I can't do it. Mm-hmm. And so, but we have to see it with our own eyes before we can believe it. Goes back to when somebody first busted that 4-minute mile mark, and then a year later you have a dozen people doing it.
And no one thought it could be done.
No one thought it could ever be done. So yeah, limiting beliefs are real, and you have to figure out what it is for you that's going to actually crush it for you and crush those limiting beliefs for you.
Yeah.
So how did you go from $100,000 to $500,000 in a year?
So for that to happen, it was the faith in the coaching, and I'm doing things one way and accepting that what I'm doing is not working. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, I've had these learning opportunities. So I'm going to replace failure with learning opportunity from now on.
Yes.
So every time that there's a learning opportunity that didn't work out, there's a reason for it. Whether it's not the right data, whether it's I didn't have the resources, or I wasn't the person yet. So when it comes to limiting beliefs, in my opinion, the reason why I hadn't made $500,000 yet was because I wasn't the person I needed to be to make $500,000. I didn't have the right information. I wasn't eliminating my doubts, and I wasn't a $500,000 entrepreneur yet. I wanted to be, but I wasn't the person yet. I didn't go through enough trials and tribulations to understand what it was going to take to do it. I didn't get enough fights to become the heavyweight champion. So, you know, going from 100 to 5, or 5 to $1 million, or now I have 2 7-figure businesses. The one I just exited, I had 2 at one time. My payroll between both companies was $100,000 a month between both businesses. You have to become the person. In order to do that, you have to break the limiting beliefs. Yeah. So how do you do that? The way you break limiting beliefs is you have to become the person. So what does a millionaire do? They do self-development. They work on themselves. They're reading. They're learning from other people. In order to be at that level, you have to be very humble. You have to have so much humility. The person that I was at 100K was egotistical. I thought I knew everything, which is why I didn't hire a coach. I was like, I know the things, I just need time. Fuck that. Buy your time back with money and get the right information. And it skyrocketed everything. So I think that was the key. And crushing those limiting beliefs was actually becoming the person. I was a millionaire when I was waiting tables in my mind. You know, 2018, my coworkers were like, "Hey, let's go out, smoke a blunt, you know, go drink." I'm like, "Nah, guys, I gotta go home, create a VSL." I was already doing the things that a millionaire would do. I'm turning down the drinking, I'm turning down the alcohol, I'm turning down the partying, and I'm working on my business. And even before I was a millionaire, so putting in the work and becoming that person will help you crush the doubts and being around the right people. Mm-hmm. I can't hang out with those people because if I tell them my dreams, they're going to be like, that's not realistic. So the doubt that feeds into the limiting beliefs comes from your environment and the people. Yeah. You change who you're around, you change your information. You change your information, you change your actions.
Mm-hmm. So what about your business? What kind of changes in your business did you make, do you believe, from when you were marketing for chiropractors and dentists to, you know, skyrocketing your business there? Like, you were doing the same stuff.
Right.
Like, what changed? What different things did you put into place that helped grow your business?
2 major things from a business perspective, a process perspective. The first one was I used to hire fulfillment. Like, I need someone to do my media buying. I need someone to build my funnels. Like that was the person that I was hiring part-time, and then shit, I'm losing income. I have to let them go. I'm back into doing the work, right? It was just a constant juggle of going back and forth between sales, marketing, and fulfillment. So the biggest change was I hired a salesperson. I found a person that I worked with at the restaurant. He was a bartender, very charismatic, funny guy. And I was like, dude, I'm going to teach you sales. It's the middle of COVID, right? He was on unemployment. He was playing Call of Duty. He wasn't doing shit. Yeah. And he's like, all right, what do I have to lose? You know, came, worked out of my second bedroom. He was with me for 4 years, helped me make multiple millions of dollars, my sales director. And I actually gave him a piece of the sale of the business, a piece of the profit. Because I was so grateful for him. But sales, once you have someone in the business that can close deals at a very high level, that understands the ins and outs of your business, that's a game changer. I can just feed him leads. Now I can go work on the fulfillment. Now I have the income and the money to not have to budget my fulfillment and get C players. I can go out and get A and B players, people that are actually really good at this because I can afford them now. Let them, empower them to do the systems and processes, because that's tedious work. Yeah, I don't got time for that. I'm building. That was the key. The key was bringing in sales. I'm already good at marketing and focusing on sales, really spending my time there, not in the fulfillment side, not the delivery. That was the first thing. The second thing was, whenever you're running a marketing agency, what's the number one complaint you get from clients?
I'm not sure.
Quality of leads.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Quality of leads.
Like, especially Facebook, right?
Especially Facebook leads. Oh, the lead quality, it's not good. It's never the lead quality.
No.
It's always their inability to close deals, their lack of sales acumen, their lack of a sales process, their lack of a sales CRM, follow-up, nurture. All of those things are the reasons why they're not closing deals.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I changed was I really, really tightened up the lead nurture on the CRM, and I included it. Whenever a client came in, the client wasn't just buying Facebook ads, Google ads, YouTube ads. They were buying a sales system funnel. Mm-hmm. You're getting the marketing. You're also getting the CRM. You have to use the CRM. You can't use your own. You have to use my lead nurture because I know my lead nurture is going to work. You have to use my offer because I know my offer is going to work. And then this is the biggest change I made. I did sales training. I required my clients to come to sales training because they sucked at sales.
Yes.
They started coming every Thursday. We did 1 hour. They'd bring their calls. We would role play. We would read scripts. So now I'm teaching these entrepreneurs that have never done sales training, and they're like, holy shit, they're starting to learn, they're starting to implement. Now my retention's through the roof. I've had clients before I sold the company that have been with me since day one, 4 years. It's unheard of in a marketing agency. Yes. The churn in an average marketing agency is less than 90 days.
Yeah, 3 months.
That's it. So my retain, how can I get sticky? How can I get these guys to want to stick around?
Yeah.
CRM, all their data's in there. It's included. I build it into the price. Free sales training. Now I trained my sales director to do the sales training, so I don't have to be there doing that. So I'm just removing myself into another part of the business and adding more value. And it's all about finding where they're struggling and putting a fix into that situation.
Yeah.
Now they can't leave. Why would they leave? No other marketing agency is going to provide that for them.
Yeah. Go High Level is a freaking game changer, right?
Of course. Huge.
It's such a crazy movement that's happening. You know, where a traditional marketing agency can now become a SaaS business. Mm-hmm. And their clients are becoming so much stickier because you're providing them with all the tools to be successful. And yeah, so what do you think about Go High Level? Has it played a big role in your business as well?
It was definitely one of the pieces that helped create the success at the speed that I created it. I was using ClickFunnels, Zapier, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign. I was using all these different softwares, and it was a pain in the ass to create and set up new accounts. Very time consuming. So once High Level came out, I jumped on the bandwagon. I was one of the early users in it. And the cool thing about as an early adapter was I was right there when I did white label. Mm-hmm. So I white labeled it. It was called Pepper, named after my dog. And no one in my blue ocean, in my customer avatar, knew what High Level was.
Right.
So for them, they're like, oh, it's Pepper. It's Pepper.
Yeah.
And if they didn't have a good month, they're not going to quit on me because the CRM keeps them sticky.
Yes.
and they don't know that high level exists. So white labeling was a game changer. And then I had a client that had a tech background and a marketing background. He knew I was white labeling it. Instead of trying to do his own thing, we built a really good relationship. And he was like, Lou, what if you make these changes? I made the changes. I adapted the CRM to the dog training business specifically.
Yeah.
I brought in outside developers, worked on the API, and customized it to my clients. So now that there are more competitors in the space using high level, now you got dog training agencies popping up, and they are so far behind because of the level of detail that I put into the CRM to make me more sticky. And the coolest thing happened. About 3 years in, a competitor popped up, and people were starting to learn about this, and they started to figure out that it was white labeled. But because I built a culture around it, and we sent people T-shirts with the branding of Pepper and that high level, people knew that it was white labeled, and they still didn't want to leave. They were like, we're staying with Pepper. This is amazing, everything that we get from it. So I think having the ability to white label high level was game changer.
Yeah. Make
it your own. And that definitely helped with the stickiness, and it helped with the sale of my business.
Yeah. Because now you're not just selling an agency, a service business, you're selling software as well. You have a whole monthly recurring revenue, the stickiness, the average, the customer lifetime value, the average time that they're staying, all those things a savvy business purchaser, I guess, would look at and understand these things contribute to the value of your business.
SaaS is a game changer. So my average marketing client is paying $1,500. Let's say I had a couple clients that we booked out. They're like, we're booked out for 3 months, Louis. We just can't pay for marketing. It doesn't make sense. So I would downgrade them into SaaS only, $300.
Yes.
And I started to build up a SaaS list of just software users that I never had to service because I had the white labeled, what's it called? Support, the white label support. Right. So now I'm barely talking to these clients. I talk to them one time every 3 years and just, auto pay. And that's a game changer. It definitely helps you out when you have bad months. But more importantly, when I sold the business, I had a higher valuation on the SaaS part of the business than the agency side of the business.
Yeah.
So SaaS, you can get up to 10x at a very low annual revenue model. So $1 million SaaS business, you can sell that for 8 to 10x.
Right.
$1 million agency, you're selling for 2 to 3x.
Yeah. A lot more work, a lot more operations involved.
Right. The biggest thing is the customer support aspect. And the agency side, you're getting messages. On the SaaS side, it's just kind of running on its own.
Yeah. So I love Facebook ads. I love the paid ads. It's literally like a pay to play. And what's amazing about it is you can literally go from idea to speaking to prospects in 24 hours. That's incredible. No other marketing avenue can you do that. With Google, there's a long lead time. You got to figure out how to do it. You got to perfect your funnel. You got to build a website. All this kind of stuff. The ads are expensive. It takes time to optimize. With Facebook, it's so predictable that I can speak with confidence to any client and say, look, we're going to get you going, and in 24 hours, you're going to start to speak to people that are hungry for your service and offer. And it's crazy because so many people, dog trainers are no different, but any industry, people are so involved with making sure that the offer doesn't need to be perfect, but making sure that their product is perfect before launch. But in my industry, home services, people want the best lawnmower or the best pressure washer or the best carpet cleaning machine. And they're willing to spend $15,000, $20,000 on that before they even know how they're going to get clients. Oh, I got this $20,000 carpet cleaning machine. Oh, that's cool. So how are you going to get business? Oh, probably just word of mouth and asking my friends. I'm like, cool, bro. Hope that works out for you. But that's going to be a tricky road for you. But yeah, I love Facebook ads. I love that thing. What I'm working on is this, it's different than an agency model. So it's a bolt-on lead gen system where instead of you having to pay me every single month to manage your ads, I'm going to bolt on my lead gen system onto your existing business, and you're never going to have to pay an ad agency fee again. So I set up the ads for you. So it's service, tools, and mentorship. So the service is I'm setting up the ads for you the first time. I'm making the content, building out the ad campaigns. the tools. I'm giving you the process to convert those leads to actual paid appointments with Go High Level and other tools, automation. And then mentorship. I'm teaching you how to fish so that you never have to pay an ad agency again. You're going to learn literally the highest value, the highest value skill that you can possibly learn in 2024 is learning how to generate leads for your business. And if you learn how to do that, you can fish for a lifetime.
Right.
You know, it's like, so that's something that's so important. People want to like learn how to, clean carpets a different way, but like learning how to generate revenue by generating leads is such an important thing that people underestimate. And it's a very high value skill that they can learn.
No, I completely agree with you. So I've tried a couple of different models in the agency side. And towards the end, before I sold it, I had something very similar where I had tested it out. I beta tested it for a couple clients. So we run the marketing for them. We don't charge them an agency fee. We actually got access to their Stripe accounts. And I had a virtual call center. And I would train appointment setters. We would set appointments. They would close the deal. We would get a cut, 10%.
Yeah.
And I turned a $1,500 client a month into a $10K a month client.
Mm-hmm.
And I blew their business up, and they're super grateful.
Yes.
It became a little challenging to manage because I still had all these other pieces, my other businesses, and it became challenging to oversee it. I needed like a specific manager in that part of the business that I just never got to because I was planning on exiting.
Yeah.
But I tested it. And I think if you add that to what you're doing, skyrocket.
I like that a lot.
Just add an appointment setter.
Appointment setter.
Because now there's no issues with, they're not following up with leads in time.
That's the biggest thing, yeah.
They wait too long.
Yeah.
You got to call that lead right away.
Right away.
So you set up the AI to get some sort of text message campaign going, positive intent, just to get them to understand, like, they're speaking with someone, so they don't have to go to the next person, right? Because what do? They go to Google, they open up window, send a message for an estimate, right? So if you can be the fastest one, then you're more likely to close a sale. And for my brick and mortar business, I asked them, hey, why'd you decide to go with us? 90% of the time is because we were the fastest to respond to them.
Yeah.
And the other people just were taking forever. And the level of professionalism on the auto text.
Yeah.
They were like, you guys are so on top of it.
Little do they know, they're talking to a robot.
A robot. Like, by auto text, they have emojis. They're like, they put the person's custom fields in there, their names.
Yeah.
They think they're talking to a human.
Yeah.
And then you add the human element with that, that phone call. If you can train a setter or setters to do that, game changer, man.
Yeah.
And you just charge them a commission basis. And now with High Level, they have the ability to take a payment on a scheduled event on the calendar. So now when people are paying. So you don't have this like going back and forth, like, did this person pay? Did they not? And it gets a little weird with you and the business owner. And then you can track it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. And whenever I work with the marketing client, like it is always the same. It's the same thing. It's like I send them leads, and they aren't following up quickly enough, and it's like you're not calling quickly enough, or they don't know how to set the appointments. And if you can just, it's like I know exactly how to do that.
Right.
Let me do that for you.
Right.
But it's about how am I able you can't to do that. It's going to cost a lot of money up front.
Right.
But if you do it correctly, then it's going to grow your business. Like, it's a fact. If everything else is in place. So a lot of times, like, a lot of marketing agencies, they just send people leads. Here's the leads. Oh, these leads suck. I called 3 times, they didn't answer. I called the first 5 leads, they didn't answer. These leads suck. But yeah, there's a process, and people have to be trained because social media ads are different than Google ads, right? Google ads, they're actively looking for you. Social media, they may not be ready to purchase, but as a result, you're getting to them before they're reaching out to other people. So you have the opportunity to be first before they reach that buying intent. So you're kind of like becoming in their mind. And so there's a lot of benefits, but they're different than actual like people that are requesting to book your services today. And you have to know how to treat those leads. And people just don't understand that part. And they have their own business, so they don't really want to be trained on that. So I could totally see how taking that aspect out of that for them and just taking that whole process for them and then taking a little cut instead of charging them a large lump sum, how it would just be a game changer, complete.
It is. The key with this is you got to find an unselfish business owner that is okay with, having a seed of the watermelon and not the whole grape. That's the challenge, is finding someone. So for me, I had clients that I really liked and enjoyed working with for my agency that were paying the retainer model that I've already had a relationship with for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And then I kind of like, okay, this is a good person for me that I could work with. I got burned. I got burned by a guy for $30,000. And I am, now that I'm done with all the other things that I have on my list of where that money's going, that's the next one. I'm lawyering up. I'm coming after him. And it's not even, at the time, it was a lot of money. It's just the fact that, like, you can't get away with that, man. That's messed up. But that's a challenge, is, like, understanding when to collect. I gave this guy, like, some leeway, and you never know when people take advantage. It sucks. People will take advantage. Well, I look at a business just very, like, if I'm looking at a business from, like, a macro perspective, I have a triangle, okay? You've got one side of that triangle is sales. One side of that triangle is marketing. The last is the product or service. So if I'm partnering up with somebody, I'm doing 2/3 of the work.
Yes.
You know, and
Totally.
it's like, so how do you convince this business owner, I'm doing the fucking heavy lifting here.
Yeah.
You're doing the easy part.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I want 25%. And they're like, 25%? And they can't fathom and understand you're doing 66% of the work.
Yeah.
It's the higher skill part of the job, right? So it's being able to show someone, influence them, and close them on that. That's a challenge. But if you can find that person, it's a game changer. You don't need 100 clients. You need 10 partners that you can have that kind of relationship and that kind of contract with that kind of agreement. Whew.
Yeah.
You do way less work.
Yeah.
And you have way more profits. And it's an easier business to sell in the long term.
What's your thoughts on niching down versus staying general? You went very niched. What are your thoughts? Like, should marketing agencies niche down?
Yeah, I went niche in the niche. So like, so there's pet services, boarding, grooming, vets, dog training. I went to dog training. And then inside dog training, there's positive only and balanced dog training. I went balanced training. So inside my niche, I went to another niche. And that's where I really had a lot of success because I could relate to them on their level. And I have the skill for sales. I've worked on Wall Street. I worked consultative sales and recruitment in New York City for Fortune 500 companies. I had high-level skills for sales. I had aptitude. The biggest thing was product knowledge. I wanted to learn everything about dog training. I became obsessed with it to the point where I opened up my own dog training facility. And getting in there and understanding at that high level, I could understand what they really struggle with, what their day-to-day struggles are, why they can't get the result, what's wrong with the customer avatar, how can we, help fix some of these bottlenecks that they have in their business. And I opened up my own so that I could really learn at a high fucking level.
Yeah.
That was a game changer for me. And I had gained so much respect for my community from my niche that it was no one could touch me at that point. And that's what skyrocketed me to becoming an authority and the number one person in the space in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, most marketers don't understand the business enough. Like, I'm in the home service business, we get hit up all the time by people that want to, hey, I'll do your marketing. But they know nothing about the actual thing, right? Like when I approach my marketing clients, like, hey, I can help you grow your exterior cleaning business, your pressure washing business. And then they're like, oh, what do you know? I'm like, oh, well, we did $500,000 in sales last year. This year we're going to do $750,000. And so it's like, I know the business. I know exactly the questions that your customers are going to ask and stuff. And so you took it from going from a marketing agency, but you needed to understand the actual thing enough until where you actually ended up opening the business, which is super easy to do if you're a good marketer, right? Like you said, like it's 2/3 of the work. So, being good at the thing is only one part of that. Yeah. And that's the reason why I was able to grow my business from like the first year we started in August of 2020 and we did like 80,000 in sales. And then in 2023 we did $450,000 in sales. And it's easy because I know how to get clients. Right. You get clients, you get people to do it for you, you get more clients, you get more people to do it for you, and that's literally it. And most people don't understand how to get clients, and that's why they can't grow their business. And that's why they're struggling.
You get paid in relation to the problem you solve.
Yeah.
So if I own a mechanic shop, the mechanic's getting paid $25, $30 an hour. Like, you can be the best mechanic in the world,
yeah,
and you're getting paid $35 an hour. You could be the best chef in the world. You're getting paid $100K a year if you're the executive chef at a 5-star Michelin restaurant, maybe $150K. That's it, man. You could be a surgeon. You could be the best surgeon in the world. You're getting paid by the hospital based on the insurance claims. You're getting paid $300K a year, $400K max. That's it. The person that is doing the marketing, the person that is bringing in the deals, the partnerships, the business development are getting paid on a bonus based on the correlation to the business that they bring in. They have unlimited earning potential. Yeah. They're not getting paid on time. They're getting paid on the result. So it is hard for people to understand that. And so if you're a business owner, learn high-level skills, marketing and sales, so you don't have to outsource it. Or be humble enough to accept that that is the most important part of the business and partner with someone like you. Yeah. And don't be afraid to go 50-50. So my dog training business, the reason it blew up so quickly was because I had a good relationship with one of my clients, and he was okay going 50-50, not 25%, not 50-50. He trained all the dogs. He started training the trainers. My job was marketing, and we split the sales evals. And this is actually something that I learned from my marketing agency. I used to do live calls on Thursdays. I would say, give me your leads. I'd call my clients' leads live, like no edited shit, unscripted, live. I want you guys to see like that these are good quality leads. You just have to get better at navigating these conversations. And I was really good at the phone stuff. When I got into the dog training business, I realized some of the stuff that I was teaching wasn't applicable. I was like, holy shit. Like, it's when you go to someone's house, there's got to be a lot of affinity built to be able to show them what they're doing wrong and to be able to close them at home in their home and handle objections in someone else's fucking kitchen when they're trying to get you out the door. It's different, dude, than closing objections at your space, closing objections over a Zoom call. When you're in someone's living room and they're like, yeah, I don't know if we want to make a decision, it's hard, dude. Yeah. It's like some door-to-door shit, right? And what I realized was some of the things I was teaching from my Wall Street background and my closing over the Zooms, it's a lot different. So it was one of those situations where you have to fucking get in the trenches. Like Alex Hormozi was out there at gyms, closing, go to gym to gym to gym before he started teaching how to do it. So I kind of jumped the gun on that a little bit, and I'm not perfect. It was definitely something that I went back and I fixed. But not being afraid to do it, and not being afraid to be able to see, am I right or am I wrong? Or should I go back and see if I can improve this thing? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I've always been really good at is questioning why, what, how, what can I do to improve this? Yeah. Instead of saying this is the way to do it, how can I make this better? Yeah. And that definitely helped tremendously in the long term of my agency. Yeah.
Got a few more questions, running out of time.
Cool.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see that people make in the sales process?
Some of the biggest mistakes, well, the first one for people that don't have a lot of sales skills is the first rule of sales, always agree. So, for example, I'll just use a dog training. There's different tools. You have electric collars, you have, prong collars, right? If someone says to me, hey, using that collar on my dog is animal abuse. I don't want to use that dog. The person that's not a skilled salesperson would say, no, that's not true. Now we're in disagreement. As soon as we get into disagreement, there is no way for us to have a high level of communication. Yeah. Because you're already biased and I'm already biased. So the first thing is agree. Yeah. Hey, I understand why you would feel that way. I have seen people use it in a way where it's not meant to be used. I've seen it used in an inhumane way. I agree. Would you be open to learning how we do it a little differently? If I don't do that first part, that agreement, we're conflicting there. And I like to use this analogy. Facebook, okay, election time. Think back to Biden, Trump, Hillary, Trump. Have you ever seen somebody in the comments that says, oh, Hillary's this or Donald Trump's this, and there's a whole thread, and the other person says, you know what, Alistair, you're right.
Never.
No. I've never seen that happen. No. It won't happen. No. We're in disagreement. So if we're in disagreement, we'll never be able to change that person's perspective, that person's reality. Okay, so ARC, affinity, reality, communication. If I don't have the affinity, then if I don't have the right approach, I'm not going to be able to get that person to see my perspective. So I agree with their perspective and then plant a seed and see if they'd be open to learning a different way of looking at it.
Right.
But if I don't get into agreement, I have no way of changing that person's idea, their bias, their reality in the long run. So I think that right then and there, it's the number one reason why people struggle in sales.
Yeah. What's another little gem you have for us for sales? How to make more money, how to close more deals?
I'll give you one that's a little bit more technical. Tonality.
Yes.
Okay. Massive. This is something I learned on Wall Street. So on Wall Street, it's boiler room. You're reading off a script, right? And you can't sound like you're reading off a script. It's literally like you're acting. So if I like sit down like this, and I'm like, Alistair, I'm like, see how the room got a little quiet?
Yeah, and how
like,
leaning in
everyone that's in the room is leaning in. They're like, what's this guy about to say?
Yeah.
Alistair, so look, I understand that you have concerns about this and that your wife has concerns about moving forward. Is there a situation where you feel like she would be on board? You see how I did that?
Yeah.
So I'm really like, okay, look, I agree. It's very soft. And I changed my tone. Is there a situation where she could be on board? Like, see how she could be on board? Like, maybe. Because now they're not going to instantly say, oh, there's no way. It's like, could she? And then in your mind, you're like, is there a situation? Could she? Yeah. I'm manipulating your mindset with the way that I'm using that word and the way that I'm pronouncing it and the way that I'm dragging it out.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. So a lot of people, when they're in sales and they're learning and they're reading from the script or they have their opening, it's robotic, right? So the first part of sales is typically robotic. Then you get into a part where you get a little too technical because you start learning the product knowledge.
Yeah.
And then you go away from what's really important. It's not your product knowledge. It's their perspective on how your thing is going to solve their problem.
Yeah.
Then you put it all together and you learn tone and you get the skills. It's a game changer. It's not what you say. It's how you say it.
Yes.
That is the key. And that's definitely something that you have to practice. I had one sales guy with a really, really low voice. He just spoke like this. It's very monotone. And he wasn't connecting. We couldn't get appointments. So I said, look, man, pulled him aside. I said, what's your favorite song, dude? Like, what's your favorite R&B song? He has some Usher song. I said, can you sing the chorus? So he starts singing. He's like, you remind me of a girl. I'm like, nah, bro, that's not how he sings it. I'm like, sing it like Usher. He goes, you remind me of, like, oh, that's the head voice. I'm like, you see that voice you just did there? You need to use that. Don't feel embarrassed. Use that.
Yeah.
For some reason, he was embarrassed about, like, using a higher pitched voice. I'm like, no, dude, that brings excitement. If I bring my voice up like this, the person wants to engage with me versus just being like this. So the tone, man, it was a game changer. And now he started doing it. And he jumps on a call, and I'm across from him, and I'm listening on my end, and I'm like a conductor, you know, working the band, working the chorus, and I'm like, he's like, sound fair enough? And then boom, it started working, and started getting appointments. So tonality is massive.
Amazing. All right, just about out of time. What's one more message you want to drop for the audience here? Anything else to help people get to where they want to be in life? Anything?
What you told me today before we got started. Power and reciprocity. Get in rooms with people that are looking for information, that have information to provide. The power and reciprocity, the more that you give, the more that you put out there in the physical universe, you'll get back in return, okay? And I love that. You mentioned that earlier, man. That mad respect to you.
Thank you.
And hopefully I gave you some value, your audience value.
Absolutely.
And I'm super grateful to be here, man.
Great.
So,
I guess one last question. Do you think people should subscribe to my channel and to my YouTube?
100% subscribe to this guy. This guy is bringing A-list entrepreneurs onto this channel. Yeah. And I mean, the information that we're sharing is how we did it. Yeah. This is stuff that people, you spend thousands of dollars to go to college and get an education for useless information. You're getting this stuff for free on this channel. There's no reason that you shouldn't subscribe to this channel, man. So
I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you. Thank you so much. Louis Torres, thank you so much for being a part of the A-Lister show. You've learned so much. And if you're just tuning in, I mean, you guys are getting so much gems. People pay a lot of money to be involved in these types of conversations. You don't understand.
That part.
So thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for being a part of my show. And Lou and I are going to keep in touch and keep connecting. And we're going to see him on his next $10 million, billion-dollar exit.
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be right back on the show.
All right,
Let's
bro.
do it.
Thank you very much.
All right, dude.